Dope. Hey, young world, what up? Uh, we are shooting live from
Yeah, we here.
Johannesburg,
We're
South
here in South
Africa.
Africa right now.
Yeah, I'm Veranza. Yeah, I live here, man.
Yeah,
It's my
I'm
boy.
Bolade,
You know,
Chicago.
yeah, he's a native of Chicago.
Yeah.
So the reason why we're shooting this live video, we were just chilling here, talking about. We actually met
In
in Kemet,
Cairo.
man.
Yeah.
Kemet, Egypt.
Right next to the Sphinx.
Yeah, we were taking pictures there. So we started talking. Actually, it was like helping each other with some pics. Then we started talking and realized kindred spirit,
Indeed.
speak the same language.
Indeed.
So we had both come back to see the works of our ancestors. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, I'm just gonna give a short introduction because he's been traveling all the whole while. So he just came from Cambodia.
Cambodia.
So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna give a short introduction of where I started my journey. I call it a journey into remembrance
Mhm.
because I believe, yeah, we do need books and we do need to study, but I believe in every black person's DNA there is that code of your ancestors that will remember. It's called the history is coded in your DNA of all the things. That's why even genetics they do understand that certain behaviors are linked to your DNA. So even great achievements. I know the African DNA, especially in the Christian community, has always been linked in the negative, saying we have generational curses because our ancestors had covenants with demons. But that's ridiculous. So we're gonna. I'll make a quick intro. My first trip in this journey started at Mapungubwe. From there, I went to the University of Pretoria, where the museum, the Mapungubwe Museum, is held to see the gold ornaments, the golden rhino that was found in the royal graves. As you know, all the graves from Cape to Cairo were robbed, and all the African graves. It's the common thing we find throughout African civilization. All the royalties were buried with treasures. And today all those graves were robbed and the treasures stolen. Yeah. So from there I went from the museum. Then the next site I visited was the Great Zimbabwe Monument. And then from there I visited Adam's Calendar, which is found in Mpumalanga, is the eastern province of South Africa. Mpumalanga means sunrise, and the so-called Adam's Calendar is called Inzalo Yelanga, the original name, which means the birthplace of the sun. And in that site, we found a lot of connections to ancient Egypt, such as the Orion constellation, where there are three main stones at the calendar. One of the stones is a Horus stone. I took a picture of that. It looks exactly like a Horus head. So the Horus stone was, and to the two other stones, they marked the Orion constellation. And the other stones, you have the equinoxes, you have the summer solstice and the winter solstice, which are concepts you also find in ancient Egyptian temples and structures. Then I went from there. That's when I decided to take my trip to Egypt, and I visited the different temples, starting at Temple, went to Abydos, Edfu, Komombo. Yeah, I went to all these different temples, the pyramids, the Giza pyramids, went to the Sneferu pyramid, and also we ran into each other a few times in
Yeah.
those places.
Twice.
Yeah,
Near the
twice.
pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna take too long. Let
So,
me give over
so
to him
yeah.
so he
Let me
can
go
let
ahead
you
and give
know.
a brief introduction. You guys know a little bit more about myself. So I've been in the field of architecture for quite some time. I'm a graduate of Tuskegee University. Shout out to all the HBCU supporters and also those who are advocates within the Black community. But yeah, shortly after graduating, I really wanted to turn more into my focus, specifically towards the things that I was most fascinated about. So having my say study in architecture, I wasn't quite taught about uh, say the African precedence, the African significance that we play when it
In
comes to
architecture.
in architecture, or even when it comes to science and mathematics.
Yeah.
So having constantly gone through the books of architecture, I didn't necessarily see my face, but I would hear stories from my family and friends about all the great achievements that my ancestors have made along millions and all these this entire lifetime, and I want to continue to go ahead and explore that. So one of the things that I'm fascinated about the most are pyramids. So we know that the first pyramids are found in Africa. So shortly after graduating, I want to go ahead and explore that. Not only do we know pyramids originate in Africa, but we also know that pyramids can be found all around the world. As I went more into, say, the mathematical and scientific principles of these pyramids, I met, say, archaeologists, scientists, engineers. They don't understand the design methodology behind the pyramids as as to explain why the stones or why the entire structure is so precise and accurate. Uh, I figured going into the field of architecture or even just being a human being that answers questions or looks towards answers or looks towards the truth, uh, I figured I'll go ahead and investigate. So my journey began in Egypt, uh, where I started off from the northern part, say Cairo, all the way down to Aswan. But again, my specific focus was the pyramids. So I visit sites such as the Pyramid of Saqqara, which was the first pyramid designed by Imhotep. I've seen the Red Pyramid of Seneferu, the Bent Pyramid. There's a lot more pyramids than we know of besides Giza that are located in Egypt.
Yeah.
But most importantly, that northeastern part of Africa holds a large significance when it comes to just architecture, math, and science. Say, not many people know this, but in Sudan, there's at least 350 pyramids located within that vicinity.
Yeah.
And then also just the achievements made in Ethiopia when it comes to the churches of Lalibela, um, the steles in Aksum.
So
So,
you went to Meroe, right?
oh no, I didn't go
Oh
to
yeah.
no.
You went to Ethiopia. Oh, you went to Ethiopia.
See,
Yeah.
right after I had left
Egypt. Yeah.
from Egypt, I
Yeah.
tried to enter into
In
Sudan,
Sudan. Oh yeah.
but it was like Eid holiday. Is it Eid
Oh.
or Ed?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
No. No doubt. Continue, man.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So shortly after I visited Egypt, I went into Ethiopia. I spent actually I spent 2 months in Egypt, 2 months in Ethiopia, and I came across a good friend of mine, and we ended up going to India together. Now, India wasn't quite part of my plans, but then again, I always tend to find similarities, or not just similarities, but connections with the whole world. I always look towards universal principles, and if you continue to travel around the world, you start to notice the similarities, especially when it comes to pyramidal or pyramid structures. So India had significant things in store. I'm not going to go much into detail, but I'm gonna fast forward to where I just left and just left Cambodia, man. Cambodia's Cambodia is Cambodia. I'm trying to pull up
Find the
this
book.
right now.
We've got a lot of books here. We want to show you guys the books
Where'd it go?
a little bit later.
Is it on the table?
It's probably, yes. It has to be.
No, that's not it.
Okay. All right. I think we can. Maybe you can check it or just show them.
Oh, okay.
While you're looking, okay, here we go. All right, found the book.
This is a guidebook for ancient Angkor. Yeah.
Is that the Buddha on the?
Well, this is. I would say it's a Buddha model.
Yeah.
There's many temples that's located in Cambodia, but it makes up Angkor, which was say a former term for that area within Thailand and Cambodia together. But what brings me to Angkor is the fact that there's a large amount of pyramidal structures there.
Yeah.
And the prominent one that most people I recommend looking up is Angkor Wat. It's the largest religious temple in the world. It's specifically focused on Hinduism. So it makes the largest Hindu temple in the world. Not only that, but again, it has a significant model when it comes to architecture and engineering. So let me open up this book a little bit for you. Just a little bit.
Yeah. In case you get in trouble with some copyright stuff, you can read out the old book.
This is just a picture, though.
Yeah.
This is just a picture.
Oh.
Tell me what that looked like.
Wait, that looks like the Dogon structures.
Hey.
I don't know if you've seen the Dogon architectural structures. They look just like this. At the top part that you were showing now. Yeah. Yeah.
I won't be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my research in that area.
Yeah. And actually, just to add to what he's saying, with the research that I've done, I've discovered that a lot of people think the pyramids in Egypt or in Mexico, in China, or in India, in Cambodia, some people think it's a coincidence that we have these pyramids, and some say aliens showed up and built these pyramids around the area looking for some gold. But this pyramid, what I've discovered is that the same people that built the pyramids in Egypt are the same people that built the pyramids in Mexico and in China and all these places. It was the Kushites. When you study ancient Egyptian history, the ancient Kushites are the ones who built ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptian priesthood came from Ethiopia. So, when the Kushites traveled the world, they were the first people to cross the ocean, and now that you have the pyramids in Mexico that are aligned to the Orion belt, and Orion is related to Osiris, and Osiris, according to ancient records, came from Ethiopia. So it's the Ethiopians, and talking of books as well, I'm not going to discuss this book. I'm just going to show you one of the books in my collections, Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. I'm yet to read the book. So you have the Meroe pyramids, and the government of Nubia or of the Sudan has come up with a report saying that they have evidence that the Meroe pyramids are older than the pyramids in Egypt. Yeah, continue, brother.
Well, what I find significant about most of these structures is that it follows principles of the golden ratio and also their concentric in geometry. So if you look towards the floor plan of, say, the Taj Mahal, which is in India, or the Angkor Wat, which is in Cambodia, the pyramids in Egypt, or even the churches of Lalibela, which are located in Ethiopia, they all start within the central point of geometry. So this will be a central point, and they expand outwards. whether it be within a square, whether it be a circle, or any other form of geometry. So, pyramid is a common term that most people know, but it's a Greek term, and the Greek term means house of fire.
Of fire.
Yeah. Uh, but the geometric term for a pyramid is the tetrahedron. So the tetrahedron is pretty much the primordial form of any other three-dimensional shape. So out of the triangle, you get the square. Out of the square, you get the circle. But they all start within a central point of axis, and they continue to go expand outward. So that's like to say that the people of Egypt or the people of Kemet, they found principles in mathematical thought as far as to find the ratio of pi or the Pythagoras
Pythagoras theorem.
the poem.
So-called Pythagoras.
But all of this
Yeah.
was precedent before the Greeks came.
Yeah.
Say the Egyptians taught the Greeks.
2,000 years before Pythagoras.
Yeah.
Sorry to disturb you. 2,000 years, more than 2,000 years before Pythagoras, ancient Egypt calculated the Earth's circumference using the summer and winter solstice. Thank you.
Indeed. It goes beyond just the structure alone. It comes in terms of different concepts such as above, so below.
Yeah.
How energy works as far as resonance, negative and positive energies combining together. Um, there's some certain connected theories to say that aliens built the pyramids, or say it was built through slavery, Hebrew slavery. Um, but I personally know that aliens didn't build the pyramids, just for the simple fact that the evidence shows that there's different models of pyramids before they reach a precise and accurate one, which is the ones found in Giza.
Exactly.
So you see the first one, which is the Pyramid of Saqqara. It's in steps, which comes from the mastaba.
Yeah.
Comes from stacking mastabas on top of each other.
Yeah.
Say the second one was the second one the bent pyramid.
Oh yeah, the bent pyramid. Then we have the red pyramid, the pyramid of Sneferu.
So the Pyramid of Seneferu was the first.
The red one.
The red
And
one.
then behind it, we've got the bent pyramid. Yeah.
So the first true precise pyramid was the Pyramid of Seneferu.
Apparently, it's the step pyramid of Zosa. That's the first more technologically advanced one.
I would agree.
Yeah, but obviously, from a Eurocentric point of view, that's the very first pyramid ever built.
But the point?
It's got like a step kind of setup. Yeah. So, but the Eurocentric point of view, because they're trying to erase the Sudanese origins of ancient. They say the pyramids in Egypt are carbon copies that came later, but there's a lot of evidence, a lot of links, cultural links, any ancient text that shows that Osiris came from Ethiopia. This is ancient text written by the ancient Greeks. To be precise, I think either Diodorus or Strabo. I've got those scripts. So now that explains why there's the Orion constellation is found in Mexico, and it's found in China. It's found in Egypt. It's the same people. It's the same culture. It's all related. So we understand they are afraid of the original people finding out the true culture. So we understand they'll make up stories because, in essence, common sense. If anyone looks at the pyramids are very. If you think about it today, modern tech, there is no technology today that can build pyramids. If you really understand what's happening with the pyramids. If you stood in front of a pyramid, one block, it's limestone blocks. One of them weighs a minimum of 2.5 tons. And there is no limestone quarry at that area. It's about, I think, 5 kilometers away. There's questions like how
Don't
did
they
they
get the
transport them?
don't they get the granite from Aswan?
Yes, the granite, but the limestone,
The limestone.
it came from a place called, I think, close to Sinai. Yeah, somewhere there.
Mm.
Yeah. So so you can see that today we do not have. That's why the obsession of Europeans are in Egypt all the time. They are out there digging while we not doing. That's why I follow when we talk about the elders. We need to honor our ancestors. We also honor our elders. This is a man. One of the books that I've read by Dr. Ben Yosef Ben Yochanan. So he was born in Ethiopia, grew up in the Caribbean. He in his scholarship he advocated for us going and taking the shovel, going and doing excavations. So a lot of his students, for example, Dr. Anthony Browder, that I
Mhm.
follow, he is doing excavation work in Pharaoh Tahaka's graveyard, the tomb, yeah, tombstone. So he's doing excavations and restorations around that. Tahaka is the only
What's
pharaoh that was mentioned, whose name is mentioned in the Bible, by the way. So
mhm.
he is from the 25th dynasty. So yeah.
What's the name of Anthony Waters' book? Is it Broder File?
No, no. The one that I still waiting for. It's just I didn't take a quick mail. It's one of them is Egypt on the Potomac, where he's talking about explaining the way the secret architectural mysticism found in Washington D.C. Well, obviously people know about the pyramid and the dollar and the eye, but they don't really understand why the Egyptian pyramid is on the US dollar.
That's another reason why I wanted to look into the field of architecture, mostly because I saw a lot of symbols growing up, and symbols mean things, and it it kind of like I put a lot of thought into the fact that why is there a pyramid, and not only just a pyramid but like an African pyramid on a US dollar bill,
Yeah,
and what relationship does this dollar bill have to the pyramid?
yeah,
Yeah.
and the eye of Heru. Uh, Actually, when we talk about symbolism, I think we can go on and on. If you look at the medical symbols, you've got the eye of Heru,
Yeah.
the RX, the RX medical symbol, the rod and the snakes. That's the rod of Imhotep. So we can go on and on.
Oh,
There's a lot of ancient
I got some
Egyptian.
pictures on my phone.
Oh, you do, yeah. So in modern civilization, there's a lot of hidden symbolism that came out from Africa, which are used today that a lot of people don't see. So when we talk about Egypt on the Potomac, the book is to show the Washington Monument how
Oh,
it's a replica of the ancient Egyptian Tekenu, so-called the obelisk, and the layout of the structure. It's all ancient Egyptian culture. So Memphis, Tennessee,
yep.
in the States was named after the first capital of dynastic Egypt was called Menepha, that the Greeks called Memphis. So then the Memphis you find it in the United States is linked. The name is linked to the ancient Egyptian capital of Memphis. Yeah.
So I went to the temple of.
Hatshepsut,
Yeah, I didn't know how to
the
properly.
powerful lady.
Yeah, this is. I don't know if it's a quality shot right now, but
Yeah,
this is not necessarily what I want to show
yeah.
you guys. I with the question of okay, there's pyramids on the dollar bill. You start to realize that there's a lot of correlations between the United States and their symbolism, and ancient Egypt and their symbolism. So this is one example. There's stars and stripes on the American flag, and I've kind of always questioned stars you may see. Hold on, come on, what between the two? And structure, I would say.
The American flag, um, you have the red, white, and blue. The white and blue, the red, whom the Greeks called ISIS. American flag.
Okay, I got
now
you.
that you've touched Cambodia,
Yeah, Ethiopia.
that's my art.
Yeah, I was like, what?
The origin of rock that is the Bible, the origins of Freemasonry, the Abraham. And then this is one of our political. And this is apartheid. He was killed. I've got a brother. Please, just tell him that I'm not hating anyone. People need to understand. Give credit where credit is due. I like about to learn. Black that relates to the Greek gods that he originates from the Africa. And here we have they came before Columbus.
Definitely recommend reading this book.
Yeah, I've yet to read the book. I've collected it. So I collected all these books over a period of a year because I really feel the urgency to dig into our history. They came before Columbus. On the face, you have the Olmec head, and you know it's also controversial, even though these are the only structures on Earth with very distinctive facial features. I also don't have a nose like that, but people still say it's not black people, but we understand. Yeah, apparently, one scholar, when a European scholar, I don't know the name, Dr. Ben was talking about it. It says the reason why the lips are so thick and the nose so wide is because they didn't have enough tools that were sharp enough to make a more proper straight nose. Very interesting. Eyelids, very sharp that even today you can still see the eyelids. Very interesting. So the Olmec are the original Native Americans. These are the people that built the pyramids in Mexico. They sent it's the group of Osiris, the first from the Kushite that went into America and built this is the first high culture built in the United States, the Kushite. Just as Buddha, the Kushites represented by the missionary, the great missionary Buddha who went into China and India. I mean, if you ask yourself why the Chinese and the Indians share a religion called Buddhism. Yeah. So it's both originated. Buddha was a black man, a Kushite. The Sumerians were black people. We don't have enough time.
We can go there.
We have Egyptian language by Clyde Winters.
So let me fast forward. Okay, got a little short clip for you guys. I know you guys like videos. This is a little bit of Ethiopia. So this is Blue Nile Falls.
Oh, the Blue Nile Falls. Wow.
This is in Ethiopia. I spent 3 weeks on a campsite here in Ethiopia, mostly to find a place of meditation, but also to. Am I singing? Am I singing on this song? That's funny. I'm about
You never know what could happen to you when the spirit of the ancestors come upon you. You can sing, you can do anything.
But like to fast forward,
Yeah.
it was just a remarkable experience.
Yeah.
Just to stand near the waterfall and just to connect with the origins of civilization in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So not many people know this, but Ethiopia is a Greek term. Um,
The burnt faces.
it means the burnt faces. But there was a name before Ethiopia. Uh, the region was called Abyssinia, and the people of that area were called Abyssinians.
Yeah.
They make up a large part of the Aksum Empire, the Aksum Kingdom, and they're mostly known for the castles, their steles, and some other significant works. So when I arrived to Ethiopia, I didn't necessarily know what to expect besides the good food and the beautiful women. I hear a lot about that
Yeah.
coming from the States. But when I landed there, I definitely found a greater sense of connection in the sense of just Ethiopia being a source of spirituality, a source of human connection. It's the heart of Africa. So I hear a lot of stories of African sovereignty when it comes to the movements of Halassia, say the Rastafarianism movement, even when it comes to the connections as far as biblical references. Say Ethiopia is one of the most common references in the Bible. So
Yeah.
it gives a lot of question. So I went to find answers, and I definitely received a lot of answers while being there. Um, my biggest thing was that we tend to say measure the intelligence of Africans or the African diaspora as being something that is comparable. I wouldn't say that this form of intelligence is coming in a sense it's original. It's it brings forth something that brings other greater things into fruition. And we have to recognize that uh, this information, although it may seem that it's outside of us, a lot of this information, this intellectual property is within us, and all we have to do is just tap into it. So don't be afraid to take risks. A lot of people are going to encourage you that Africa isn't necessarily a safe place or this and that. But during my entire travel, I felt pretty good. Like I left out of New York. This is the funny thing. I'm telling my I'm telling my family, yeah, I'm going to see the pyramids. Like I'm going to study the pyramids.
Yeah.
I'm going to Africa. Africa, I'm in Brooklyn. And no. I'm in Harlem.
All right. Okay.
And I'm like, I'm Africa. No, it's like Africa. You know, you can just go right outside. Africa's right outside. If y'all don't know, there's a large population of Africans in Harlem.
Small yeah, that's true. And talking of safety, what is mentioned about safety? It's the same thing I got from my mom when I went to Egypt. There's a lot of news about the Arabs in Libya and parts of Egypt where they kidnap African refugees trying to flee into Europe. And they kidnap them for organs, cutting them alive. So safety came to mind from the parents, but it is
It's
funny.
natural.
It's natural, but also it's quite funny. If I were to say I'm going to Israel,
Mm.
I can tell you, my mom wouldn't say, "What about safety?" She'd be very happy. People tend to think when you go to Israel, I think, well, if you really follow the news, one of the most conflicted places on earth. There's a very hot place in terms of violence. Violence can erupt at any time. Just one small decision. The last one was Donald Trump moving the embassy to Jerusalem, and that a lot of people lost their lives. But I can assure you, when black people in this country, in South Africa, I can speak for people in South Africa, if they go to Israel, they never think of safety because they believe they're going to the Holy Land, and safety thing never comes to mind. So I think it's also one of the things which are been encoded in our brain by the media. The media tends to paint certain pictures to try and stop us from seeking our own heritage. So I was also my next trip is actually supposed to be the Sudan to the Meroe, the city of Meroe, to see the Meroe pyramids and the Meroe temple, so that as seen in the cover of this book. So yeah, and to see the Meroe hieroglyphics. And speaking of hieroglyphics, I have a Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionary. It was translated by E.A. Wallace Budge. E.A. Wallace Budge was, you can Google him. He was Sir E.A. Wallace Budge. He worked for the British Museum. He was a European man, a white man. He lived in the 18th century. What I discovered during my research is that all the authors, white authors in the 18th century, were all reported the truth. A lot of them, there's even reports of the Sphinx when Napoleon visited Egypt. There's reports about him shaving off the nose of the Sphinx. And one of his generals, he's got a very difficult name. I've got, you can get his book on the internet. It's fun. He made a sketch of the Sphinx with an African face. This sketch kind of looks like a woman, the discussion we were having.
Yeah.
And but in his book, he he writes about how this so-called Sphinx is actually the correct name which our ancestors gave it was Heru and Maket, which is Heru on the horizon, because the so-called Sphinx is also an astronomical structure. It's that the sun, Heru, in the constellation of Leo, the Lion King, the Lion of Judah, can go on and on. So now, even the Lion King movie, we don't even want to go into that right now. You know the original story of the Lion King
Is that like it was like a play?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, what's happening? Maybe we should go into the Lion King. Uh, the Lion King movie. It's the ancient Egyptian story of a Set, uh, and Cyrus is Asa. So Asa, as the brother, gets married to Set. He has an evil brother, Set, who, who hates on Asa, so he decides to kill him. I'll just make it a brief one. He kills him, and then his son is born of immaculate conception and comes back and avenges his father's death, exactly like the story of the Lion King, where Simba's uncle kills Mufasa, then Simba goes out without a father, and then he saves him and then kills him. And then, well, he doesn't kill his uncle, he kind of makes him an outcast, but he avenges his father. So it's basically the same story. Hence, they have it as a Lion King. Why the Lion King? Because the Sphinx, being the constellation of Leo, is the Lion King, is Heru and Maket, and Heru is the son who avenges the, his father's death. So these things are deep. So Hollywood is in it. Hollywood is anything but stupid.
Mandela effect.
So they have, you can see all these movies from the Vinci Code, Angels, Demons, from even to movies like the X-Men. When you study the history, you tend to see how Hollywood uh, sends out subliminal messages about that we do know who you black people are, but you don't know. Somebody knows about you, they don't want you to know about yourself. So yeah, talking about hieroglyphics. So there has been I've been trying to not trying. Get into the study of so-called hieroglyphics. Remember, sometimes we use Greek terms to help people, because if I say meta, people have never heard of the term. Not everybody heard of it. That's but our ancestors called it the Medu Neta. The Neta meaning there's no English proper word to because holy language. So covers the linguistics and the interpretation of the Madagascar. So the interpretation of the Madagascar is still an important process and to a certain extent, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And the reason why, and maybe I started into this whole process, I am currently writing a book, so I had to bring in history. It didn't start as a history book, it started with a book basically talking about the psychology of what's happening, how to understand what's missing, how to, because it's more of a constant mental fight. And a lot of people don't even understand. Now people don't know what racism is. They think it's your neighbor, uh, who come out and say, "I like you," and whatnot. But real racism that people don't tend not to understand is that the liberal, for example, the liberal that comes to your house and calls your mother mommy and beats your sister, that one is the most dangerous. And how you get to pick him out, asking what is his view on the land issue. Then it's the liberals that usually subliminal way. If you come out as a black person trying to protect it, it's your own people who go against you don't understand. Say, bro, what's your problem? That's messy. I found a tool to help them understand people, even white people when they argue. I always go to the feminist movement. If you say women's rights matter, and you come out and say no, all everybody rights matter. The women understand it better that you are being anti the feminist movement. So, yeah, why are you trying to promote women? But
It's like it overshadows the fact that our voices being spoken. It kind of takes it away from the substance.
it's possibly those materials as well. Let's show them why some more materials. Uh, we have a lot of stuff in here. We are educating ourselves. Like I said, the ultimate is for us to get a shovel and go and dig and excavate. And then the next book is the destruction of black civilization, but translated. And I haven't started.
I understand that we're moving more towards a physical age, but I encourage everyone to take the time to visit the local library part.
Yeah,
Free library part. Anything tech of new books you want. You can even get movies nowadays. You can get movies, you can get CDs.
yeah.
You can pretty much do a lot of. You can get a job in the library. Just go to the library.
And unfortunately, all the books that I bought, I couldn't buy at any bookstore in South Africa. So I don't know how it is in the States. I had to buy all of these via Amazon, except for the Steve book, of course, since it's a local book.
He has a point. You might not find the specific books that you want, but it's a start.
You can go on Amazon. I bought most of these books on Amazon. This one I decided to buy. Still gonna cover the book to preserve it. But for me, it's not a novel. It's not like the Bible. So this you can download online any of E.A. Wallace's books that he's written. I do recommend he's written multiple books. And why I do recommend him is he has he did not do the studies from his desk. He's traveled into Egypt, the Far East. He's traveled all the way to the Central Africa, in trying to study the make sense of the ancient origins. And he has expressed what is found that the people most related in culture, religion, spirituality, everything are found in the heart of Africa. Why is ancient Egypt most related in culture, religion? We have too many civilizations still left to study. We've got castles. I don't know if you saw the castles in Ethiopia. Yes. They might not be the first castles. We have castles even in West Africa. A lot of them were destroyed. A lot of the pyramids in Sudan were destroyed by the specific European intervention.
Yeah.
Basically, what they did rescue
Africa. But again, don't let that intimidate you, especially if you're a woman. I definitely encourage women to be proactive to travel. I know the idea of travel, so you not travel supports the idea
the tap in documented history. So, in every aspect of reason why the European is Egypt every day digging out something. They're not trying to find dead history. They are looking for keys to the ancient Kemetic knowledge that they had. Which a foreigner will lead you there, a German will lead you there. Talking about a vegan lifestyle. Uh, Vegan lifestyle is nothing new in Africa. Uh, Today, even today, we have so many domesticated plants that we
we had cattle, sheep, and all of that. But those are not foods that we ate all the time because they understood the balanced diet that we need to eat 90% of the time of uh, plants and animals were eaten not very often. Like today, we had chicken every single day, chicken breakfast, lunch, dinner. So, uh, learning our history, why it's important at every level. In fact, uh, yes, it's important for combating the white supremacy. Even though there was no white supremacy, going back to the African way of keeping ourselves of black people united Africa needs to we're not talking about united because politics didn't unite all black people. Politics of Europe spirit where we honor our ancestors, ancestors, we are the latest model ancestors. When you take out the saliva, tell you that there is a lot of routine. Your saliva carries every code of every ancestor that ever lived. Out saliva carries very cold. So in your system, don't
take yourself to them. So, and why we need to do it, we need to start today than later. There's an urgency that I've seen. When you look at some of the videos that Astro Crazy shows, he shows that in the temples in Egypt, he shows it live to various different times where the hieroglyphics on the wall are being chipped off the walls of the temple. So when they get chipped off, they get sent to museums in Europe. So, so when you want to see Egypt, you need to go to Europe. Uh, so